Good evening. Welcome to the Oconee County Board of Commissioners meeting. Today is Tuesday, January the 6th, 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call the meeting to order this time. Thank you. After a moment of silence, we're going to ask Justin to lead us in the pledge. If you would, please stand. Thank you. Our first item of business will be to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Our next item is statements and remarks from citizens. This is for anything not on tonight's agenda. Any statements and remarks from commissioners? A couple things I want to announce. 316 at Jimmy Daniel Road is under construction for a full interchange. Georgia Department of Transportation is considering a detour there that could last up to 6 months for access onto 316 from Jimmy Daniel. There's a public information open house on January 22nd, and that'll run from 5 to 7 p.m. It'll be at Mars Hill Baptist Church. So they're taking comments during that time and answering any questions you may have. Also, you can make comments on their website, and there's a link to that page on our website if you'd like to do that. New house shows at Union Church Road. As you know, there's a roundabout under construction there. That is now in a roundabout traffic pattern. There's a lot of construction left to do, but as you go through that intersection, you will approach it as a roundabout. And also, our first town hall meeting will be February 10th. It'll be at 6 p.m. here in this room. So, with that, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from December 2nd.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from December 2nd as submitted.
And a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Now we'll move on to our hearing and actions on zoning matters. The rezone petition shall be presented by the county staff with no time limit. The applicant and those signed up to speak for the petition shall be allowed a total of 20 minutes, less the applicant's reserved for rebuttal. And those signing up to speak against the petition shall also be allowed a total of 20 minutes. Public comments will then be closed, and the Board of Commissioners will have an opportunity to ask questions. Then the board shall take actions as set out in the Unified Development Code. With that, we'll call our first case, which is rezone request P25-0226, Townley Family Partnerships, LLP. This is a rezone from AG to R1, 242.27 acres at 2190 Clotfelter Road, 2280 Clotfelter Road, 2241 Malcolm Bridge Road, and 2291 Malcolm Bridge Road. And take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Your first item is rezone P25-0226, Townley Family Partnership LLP, applicant and owner. This is parcel B02075-074, B03007, 008, and 008A. It's currently zoned AG in the suburban neighborhood character area. And the request again is to rezone 242 acres from AG to R1. These are the recorded plats you have in your application packet, the proposed concept plan, architectural images, and staff recommends conditional approval with our 3 standard conditions. Number 4, no more than 119 lots shall be approved for the project. And number 5, no final plat shall be granted for a period of 10 years from the date of Board of Commissioners approval. Number 6, a traffic impact study shall be completed and submitted for review prior to submission of the preliminary plat. The Director of Planning and Code Enforcement, along with Director of Public Works, shall review the scope and approve the study prior to submission of the preliminary plat at the owner's expense. Road improvements shall be made to ensure the impacted intersections shall meet the requirements of the UDC to ensure all impacted roads meet a level of service C. Number 7, all areas along exterior boundaries and rights of way abutting Clotfelter Road and Malcolm Bridge Road. Each exterior lot shall have a landscape easement 15 feet wide with vegetative screening to be installed prior to final plat approval. Within the landscape easement, opaque screening shall be created with the following planting density per 100 linear feet of property frontage: 3 large evergreen trees, 2 medium evergreen trees, and 20 shrubs. All trees shall be 6 feet with a 2-inch caliper at time of planting. All shrubs shall be 36 inches in height at time of planting. Number 8, the connection to Malcolm Bridge Estates Phase 1, Malcolm Bridge Estates Drive, shall be constructed and accepted as part of the final plat for Phase 2. Planning Commission recommends approval subject to the same conditions recommended by staff. Thank you.
Jeff Carter.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Carter with Carter Engineering, 1730 Cold Springs Road, representing Mr. Townley tonight. Mr. Townley is here in the audience. Russell Wills as well, the owner's rep, is here to answer any questions that I can't. So if I could just draw your attention to the screen, I've got just a few slides that I'd like to show you about what we're calling Malcolm Bridge Estates Phase 2. This is just to orient you to a little bit to the property. Malcolm Bridge Road is north and south on the right-hand side, and then Clotfelter Road is north and south here. So the property does extend from Malcolm Bridge Phase 1, which is the lighter green area here, all the way over to Clotfelter Drive. The lighter dashed area, the radius here, just shows you a mile away from the property and kind of what's all encompassed within that mile. This kind of gives you an idea of the surrounding zonings. There is a lot. The blue is R1. So the property currently is zoned AG, and we're requesting a rezone to R1. And so all the blue property that you see surrounding is already zoned R1. So there's a lot of similar zoning. There's also some more dense zoning too. There's R2 at Triple Creek, and then some other subdivisions around. So the zoning fits very well within the context of the surrounding property. This slide just represents the future land use map, and we just wanted to demonstrate and make sure that you guys understood that the subject property fits well within the suburban neighborhood, or it is within the suburban neighborhood land use designation, as well as a large majority of the property, really until you get up closer to 316. It meets all of the character area that we're looking for in a suburban neighborhood. And this is just a larger scale of the proposed subdivision. I just wanted to point out a few things. We are proposing a entrance to the subdivision off of Clotfelter here, pretty much right in the middle of the property. And then there's a second entrance that has been planned when Malcolm Bridge Estates Phase 1 was developed. There's a stub there for future extension for this Phase 2. So there'll be 2 access points in and out of this subdivision. There is an amenity area planned on the lot here next to Clotfelter. Some of these lots here along the south, really as well as some of the properties to the north, these lots are really large. We can do 1.5 acres in R1 zoning designation, but if you kind of boil it all down, really these lots are around 2 acres average, and it has a lot to do with the larger lot requirement for some of the wetlands, some of the floodplain that you see around the perimeter. So we are asking for 119 lots here with 1.5 acres minimum. All of the staff recommendations we're fine with. I did want to point out just a couple of things, and that's number 5, which is no final plat shall be granted for a period of 10 years from the date of Board of Commissioners approval. We did understand that there's some significant lots that need to be drawn down, so to speak, before these lots could come online. So we suggested and we offered up a 5-year moratorium on that. And staff felt, after looking at it, that 10 years was more appropriate. And so I just wanted to state that we are okay with that, the 10-year drawdown or 10-year moratorium. And that what that means is that no houses can be built there for at least 10 years. And so it'll be quite some time before there'll be any houses that are built. Mr. Townley, I know you guys are all aware of who he is and what he's done, but I did also want to point out that he's done quite a bit of development in Oconee County, and I think his development speaks for itself. They've all been really quality development, and so we know what we're getting, so to speak, in terms of this rezone. So I appreciate your support of this project and be glad to try to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Wanda, did you want to speak? Want to go? Does anyone else wish to speak for the rezone? Does anyone want to speak against? With that, we'll go ahead and close public comments. Any questions from commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I want clarification from Guy on the comments that the fire department made. With that, I know Mr. Carter mentioned there'd be 2 entrances, but will that address the concerns of the fire department?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I noticed there were some limitations on, how many lots could be developed.
Right, and there'll be 2 entrances for the subdivision.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I got one question, just
Yes,
so the crowd would know. If this is approved and there was no moratorium, or if you want to call it that, the 10 years, then the applicant, once he finished the plats and stuff, he could start pulling permits, couldn't he?
That's right. He'd have to go through the development process, but once he had a final plat, he could then pull building permits.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we're ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve rezone B 25-0226 Townley Family Partnership LLLP, rezone from AG to R1, 242.27 acres, 2190 Clockfelter Road, 2280 Clockfelter Road, 2241 Malcolm Bridge Road, 2291 Malcolm Bridge Road, and Malcolm Bridge Road unaddressed, vacant with a condition.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second to approve rezone request P 25-0226 with 8 conditions. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Our next case is variance request P 25-0225. It's Industrial Properties Management LLC. Is to reduce the required parking for warehouse space and eliminate the requirement for curb and gutter in the warehouse portion of the site. This is 45.6 acres at 1355 Aiken Road.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Again, this is variance P 25-0225, IMI LLC, I Property Management LLC. This is parcel B 01072, currently zoned OBP in the workplace character area. And again, special exception variance from Oconee UDC, Article 6, Section 60401B, Article 6, Section 60901D, and Table 6.1 to reduce the required parking for warehouse space and to eliminate the requirement for curb and gutter in the warehouse portion of the site. The proposed parking space reduction is 63 spaces, or 35% of the required 180 spaces for the proposed 228,250 square feet of buildings. And this is the recorded plat in your packets, the concept plan, and staff recommends conditional approval with our 3 standard conditions. And number 4, the applicant shall submit a field change along with a revised hydrology study for review and approval. Thank you.
Brian Kimsey.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Thanks for the opportunity to talk. I know we've been before you a couple times on this project. Hopefully this may be the last. Pretty straightforward on what we're asking for. The code requires, because of the number of buildings and the size of buildings, 180 parking spaces. The, our client will have less than 100 employees. So the front part of the property is the office building. There are 78 spaces there. The code requires us to have all the machine shop, the paint shop, all those parking spaces for that square footage as well. They won't have that many employees out there. So 180 parking spaces is excessive for what they have. So what we're asking for in this is to remove a portion of those spaces down to 117 spaces. So there'll still be some parking spaces near the industrial buildings in the back of the property, but the front of the property will be where most of the parking spots are located. The second condition that we're asking for a variance of is the curb and gutters required for the entire site. So if you've been to their facility here in Watkinsville, you've seen how forklifts are going around, trucks are going around. They don't want to really have curb and gutter past that frontage where the main building is. Once you get back in the industrial area, they want to go ditches and inlets to collect stormwater. So we've got a plan and design for that. Pond stays the same, the site stays the same, just the curb and gutter from once you get past the main building would not be required past that. That's in a nutshell what we're asking for with the variance request. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Jeremy, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, Jeremy Phillips, 3371 South Barnett Shoals Road. Just to reiterate what Brian has stated, majority of our operations is in the field. About 75% of our population operate outside of our home base in Watkinsville. The square footage of the building and the size of the property simply don't justify the amount of spaces required per code. So we're asking for a change there, as well as the curb and gutter with the heavy forklifts. I mean, we're running 60,000-pound forklifts, and the curb and gutter can present a problem in some situations, moving equipment, fabricated pieces. So we're just asking for some relief there as well. Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak for the variance request? Does anyone wish to speak against? With that, we'll go ahead and close public comments. Any questions from commissioners?
Need one clarification from Guy. Guy, we understand the applicant is going to be the sole user of this entire project. And of course, that, is predicated on the fact of the number of employees they have. They don't need that many parking spaces. Would this preclude them from being able to sublease any of these warehouses at some future point because of how would that work if they decide they want to lease some of those buildings out? Would they then need to put parking in for those?
No, they would not.
It'd still be sufficient?
That's right.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I think we're ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve variance request P 25-0225 Industrial Properties Management LLC. Reduce the required parking for warehouse space and eliminate the requirement for curb and gutter in the warehouse portion of the site, 45.6 acres, 1355 Aiken Road, commercial with 4 conditions.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve variance request P 25-0225 with 4 conditions. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we'll move on to variance request P 25-0229. This is to reduce the required building setback on 1.35 acres located at 4674 Whitlow Creek Drive.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, again, this is variance P 25-0229, Adam and Christy Rickabaugh, applicant and owner. This is parcel A 07E004A. It's currently zoned AR in the Country Estates Character area, and is a special exception request to the UDC section 41001C2 and table 4.1 to reduce the required side yard setback from 15 feet to 8.8 feet. This is the recorded plat. The concept plan showing the proposed location of the accessory structure. And staff recommends conditional approval with our one standard condition. Thank you.
Patrick Perry.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Patrick Perry on behalf of Perry Planning. I'm here on behalf of the owners. As requested by Mr. Herring, we'd like to get accessory structure for the detached garage. So the reasons for our request tonight is that septic constraints part of the location. We're lining the garage up. And so it's just, there's a little bit of encroachment into the side setback. We've already submitted plans to the Neighborhood Architectural Review Committee. They've reviewed it, approved it, and shared plans with the adjacent neighbor. They've given their okay for that too. So I don't want to take up any more time. I just want to be here for any questions you may have.
Does anyone else wish to speak for the variance? Does anyone wish to speak against? With that, we'll close public comments. Do we have any questions? Hear none, we're ready for a motion.
I make a motion we approve variance P 25-0229 Adam and Christie to Rickabaugh, reduce the required side building setback 1.35 acres, 4674 Whitlock Creek Drive residential with the one condition.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second to approve variance request P 25-0229 with one condition. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we'll move on to the rezone request P 25-0230. This is KBB LLC, Robert G. Bishop, William T. Bishop, and Oconee Shepherd Properties LLC. This is a rezone from AG to AR to B1 and AR3 for 17.82 acres on Experiment Station Road.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, again, this is P 25-0230 KBB LLC, applicant and owner. This is parcels B 06-022F, 22FA, 22FB, and 22FC. Currently zoned AR3 and AG in the Civic Center character area. And the request is one, to rezone 4.82 acres from AR3 to B1 General Business District. And number two, to rezone plus or minus 10 acres from AG to AR3. This is a recorded plat in your application, the concept plan, a slightly larger version of the proposed development on the corner, and the remaining lots. This is our representative architectural images submitted with the application. And staff recommends conditional approval of the request with our three standard conditions. Number four, at the owner's expense, road improvements shall be made to ensure the impacted intersections shall meet the requirements of the UDC to ensure all impacted intersections meet a level of service C. Number five, service areas and dumpsters shall be visually screened from public view by a 6-foot masonry wall with facade materials matching the exterior of the principal structure with black painted metal steel enclosure doors. Enclosure doors made of wood or chain link are prohibited. Number six, the proposed drive-throughs shall have a stacking lane according to the Institute of Traffic Engineers standards to be approved by the Director of Planning and Code Enforcement and the Director of Public Works. As part of the site development plan, no parking space shall be allowed that crosses the stacking lane. Planning Commission recommends approval with the same conditions. Thank you.
Frank Pittman.
Hey, good evening, guys. Frank Pittman with Pittman and Greer Engineering. We're at 1050 Barber Creek Drive. I'm here representing the developer, Ms. Sissy Watson, who's also here, and also representing the current owners, which is the Bishop family, and they've got representatives here as well. As Guy mentioned, this is roughly 18 acres at the corner of Bishop Farmers Parkway and Experiment Station Road. Currently, about half of it is zone AR3, the other half is AG. We are requesting to rezone the front portion to B1 with the rear portion going to AR3, and I'll quickly touch on that AR3 portion of it. So Ms. Watson, the developer, will be developing the project that we're going to be talking about, which is a neighborhood grocery store. The rest of it, the Bishop family will keep ownership of. Because of how their family members own the property, they kind of need to split it up evenly in the back. And the only way to do that would be to rezone the AG to AR3 because they'd be less than 5 acre lots. They don't have any plans to do anything with those lots at this time. And I think we probably all know at some point in time, those would probably be commercial as well. The proposed development is for a neighborhood grocery store with a restaurant upstairs. The grocery is 19,500 square feet, which I know you've all probably been to Stripling's. Stripling's is about 17,000, so it's a little bit bigger than the Stripling store, a lot smaller than a new Publix is about 75, 80,000. So it's about a fourth the size of a new big grocery store. The restaurant would be 4,000 square feet, and then there's a planned 5,000 square foot outdoor pavilion that can be used for farmers markets, family reunions, lots of different stuff like that. We have had a traffic study completed. As y'all know, the roadway was just expanded. We're proposing full access on Bishop Farms Parkway with a right in, right out on Experiment Station. The utilities are in place on the site. There's water and sewer capacity. And the staff has recommended approval, and Planning Commission has as well. I'm going to introduce y'all to a few people. Katrina Evans from E&E Architecture is here, and she'll be available for any questions for building design. And then she may introduce herself, and then Sissy Watson, who's a developer, is going to kind of tell y'all what their program is, which is going to be a lot more exciting than the information I'm giving you. And then Meredith from the Bishop family is here as well, who may also introduce herself. So.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Thank you so much for a minute to share with you a little about Market Station. I'm Sissy Watson, and I live at 1171 Hammond Creek Trail in Watkinsville. And we have the pleasure of creating a new concept that is called Market Station, which will showcase local provisioning and local coffee roasters and different types of local products, which we're very excited about. And we're very much striving for this to be kind of a destination place. Definitely you'd swing by to grab gas, coffee in the morning, a great biscuit, and groceries, prepared foods, but that it would also create a place to meet and have coffee with the restaurant upstairs, with the outdoor pavilion. We're looking for it to be really family friendly and just a place that's really fun and that would support what we feel like is very important in Oconee County, a really fun, cool gathering spot. So we will have prepared foods to pick up for dinner, and one of our specialties will be meat. We're working with vendors now to just have high quality meats and seafood, as well as an ice creamery. And we will have top-notch coffee, and we're just really excited about it. And then with the restaurant upstairs too, that'll be a lot of fun for lunch or dinner or even breakfast. We're looking at outdoor seating, and the upstairs, we're hopeful to have the big glass garage doors, so when they're lifted, it feels like you're outside even when you're not. So my family has been in Oconee County since the late 80s, and we just really wanted to do something that we felt would really be a benefit, and especially in that area of the county. And the older I get, and being an empty nester, I no longer shop those $300 grocery carts. I run in and out every other day because I can. And when you have a house full of kids, you can't. And so my husband and I find that we stop at Stripling's or other small grocery stores and grab dinner for the night or a few things, as opposed to going into the big box grocery stores. And so we would love to shop here. And we feel like it'll really be an amenity to the county, and also being right there at 441, it would be easy just to swing by and grab your coffee in the morning. We're just really excited about the concept. Love to share as much or as little as you would like to know. So I'll leave it at that, and please ask any questions or any clarifications.
Thank you. Meredith?
Good evening, y'all. I'm Meredith Bishop Marlowe. I'm here to just speak on the behalf of our family, the Bishop family and KBB in this project. We have been in Oconee County, as many of you know, for a very long time, and have owned this property for a very long time. And it's not something that you haven't seen a for sale sign on it. We've been approached many different times by different people about selling the property, but have not done that. When this group has approached us, though, this is something that we really believe in. We really like the concept, the plan, the thought that's gone behind it, the entrepreneurship that's gone into it, and it's well thought out, well planned, and it's something that we as a family think would be a good opportunity for our county and the residents here to really get behind and be involved with. So we would ask that you support this project, and we're looking forward to it. Thank y'all so much.
Does anyone else wish to speak for the rezone? We'll move on to those against. Kristen McGee.
Hey, I'm Kirsten McGee, 1120 Loch Lomond Circle. Most of you guys know me very well, and you may remember that the last time I was up here, I was griping about the road construction project. So it's 99% done. I won't say it's completely done. I still have a few things to talk about, but not that tonight. This is actually really hard for me, not just because I get nervous in front of a microphone, but because I actually love and respect the Bishops very much. I do. We have a personal relationship, and they know that. But this is also, we live right here. We live on Loch Lomond, which is off of Experiment Station. So to hear that a gas station is coming in, I just thought it was really also interesting timing. It's like the second that we stopped with the project, in comes the next thing. We have a gas station literally next door. We have a BP, we have a Shell station, we have a Publix. I understand that this is a different concept. That's lovely. But I don't think I want 1 million cars coming through 441 in that intersection. That's what we're projected to look at over the entire year. And that's a really big number. I've always been concerned about safety. My kids, one is left the nest, but got one still here. When they were learning to drive, it's always been really hard to get out, and it's unsafe. And you know that somebody was actually killed during the road construction project, and I'm concerned about safety. So I really, truly come from this from a different perspective. That was originally zoned as a wetland. We've got farmland on all sides. The county commission approved the parcel as agriculture and not general business. Again, it's very congested. It's also we're at bottlenecks. And I know that, and I'm sorry, I'm also a little bit have laryngitis. I know that at some point, potentially they're supposed to continue widening, but right now that's not happening. So that's going to be a really big problem if you're expecting all those, cars to come through. What else? Oh, and then there's also a new truck stop that's already been approved literally right across the street here. So I'm not necessarily feeling or seeing the need for all of this at this moment in time. So that's an angle that I'm coming across. So I guess that's about it. And I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak against? Any rebuttal?
Yeah, I'll quickly touch on a few of Ms. McGee's points. Yes, there is a gas station and a grocery next door, and we talked about this at the Planning Commission as well. And similar to what Sissy said, I mean, there's, I live on that side of the county as well. I mean, and going to Butler's Crossing to a big grocery store is painful, unless you need a buggy full of groceries. My wife and I don't have kids, so we don't ever need a buggy full of groceries. There are a lot of people that like to go in smaller stores and not to go to Butler's Crossing and park 600 feet from the store and go down 40 aisles and stand in line. So a smaller store would be a benefit. As far as safety goes, one thing we talked about at Planning Commission as well is, Sissy and her group they met with UNG. UNG is excited They've got a lot of students that travel in and out of this road every day. They don't have a cafeteria. These kids are leaving class. They're going to Butler's Crossing to get lunch or to get a snack in between classes. They can now do that without getting out on the highway. So in a lot of ways, I don't want to say any development is making it safer, but it is decreasing some of the traffic that's coming in and out with college students as well. There's a new light there. We've got a 4-lane divided highway that is nowhere near capacity. It's smooth sailing now coming to work. So the road does support it. There are no wetlands on the site. The wetlands are way back further down towards the creek. You know, again, we'd be open for any questions and ask for y'all's support. Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and close public comments at this time. Any questions from commissioners?
Mr. Pittman, do you know what the traffic count is at that intersection right now?
Ooh, off the top of my head, I don't know if I've got that information in front of me. I don't have that information in front of me. It's not on this staff report. I didn't bring the traffic study with me.
Since you talked with UNG, do you know what the student population is there currently?
You know that? You met with UNG.
It's either 4,000 or 5,000, but I'm not positive. I think it's 4, but I'm not positive.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've got that kind of traffic every day, regardless of anything being there.
That's right. And we did, and I think I mentioned it. I mean, we did have a traffic study, full traffic study done. The intersection is not strained by this development at all. There's a recommendation. We've got to add a left turn lane into our project on Bishop Farms Parkway. There's no road improvements required on Experiment Station at all based on this project.
May have another question.
Okay. Go.
Before we end up.
Guy, could you, for the benefit of everybody, and one of the conditions was that we make sure that the road system, that the service level did not go below C. Could you explain that just a little bit?
Yes, sir. Our UDC requires a level of service C at all intersections. So during the development review process, we will have a revised traffic study, and that will be addressed at that time. So we'll make sure that our intersections meet that level of service C.
All right, so once that's done, could it change some of the dynamics of the?
It could. There could be operational changes. There could be timing changes with the signal itself. So that will be addressed through our traffic engineers.
If you could, on the site plan coming out of Bishop Parkway, there is a right-hand turn lane, correct? Site plan.
Yes.
I couldn't tell if that was a curb,
Yes, sir. This is a full movement at this point.
all right, so is it one lane up until that point?
I believe so. That's what it shows here. Yes.
I had just, I assumed through your efforts, I was concerned about the, stacking of cars coming out of UNG, if
Right.
it would impede or, when you have people coming in and out of that intersection, would that kind of be a bottleneck there?
And that'll be analyzed through that study.
Okay, so that would be addressed at that
Yes.
time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that was my concern.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I would just say, I'm also always concerned about the safety issues. One thing I try to leave the marketplace to dictate whether or not that owner picks certain things to do, whether it's gas stations or other kind of things. I just tend to believe that the marketplace deals with that better than the government officials. But I'm certainly concerned about traffic, but I would say this, because I travel that a good bit during the month, each month, is there's traffic on that road now, and there's no denying it. I think it's the correction to the road or the addition to what the road has received has really helped move traffic. And I'll be one of the first ones to admit, when it was being constructed by DOT, there were some tense moments with a lot of us of, when is this thing gonna be finished? But it is finished and the traffic is already there. I mean, UNG, and I have been a proponent of UNG growing because those students from a economic thing, they do stop and they buy things from Oconee County markets, whatever that may be. And, but I guess the bottom line is they are there with the regular Oconee County traffic. I don't see that going away. I would like to see UNG become larger if it could work. But as far as the numbers, I don't think what the applicant is proposing brings more traffic there. They already got it. That's why racetracks and the other ones, and probably why Stripling's went out on 78, they already knew the traffic was there. If you go out toward Stripling's, you got people coming in from the west, stopping and buying biscuits, but they were already there. Stripling's just bought the property, I suppose, and put their store there. So I think Publix picks where the traffic is. They're not going to go pick and put a grocery store in it, not have anybody around. They're not going to stay in business very long. So, I mean, I'm concerned with traffic because I spent 28 and a half years in law enforcement. I know what bad accidents look like, but I also recognize the fact that when I was at the university, when you have a Georgia football game on Saturday, Lumpkin Street's going to be packed. Nothing I can do about it. Just deal with it. So people are going to come. They're already there. And so I think we as a government, we're always looking to see where we can improve. We put a lot of roundabouts trying to make it a lot easier for people to get through without having accidents. So again, I'm very conscious about safety. I've got grandkids going to school here in Oconee County, but I personally, I don't see what I'm hearing is going to cause more traffic to show up. I don't see that. People come because there's something there, like the school. Other stores just kind of fill in. So anyway, I probably said enough, but I'm always concerned about safety. But I don't see this as a detriment. It's somebody wanting to try something, but the traffic's already there. She's going to get traffic coming by every day, coming and going out of that school. That's just the way it is. So.
If there are no other questions, will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be glad to make a motion to approve rezone P25-0230 for KBB LLC, Robert G. Bishop, William T. Bishop, and Oconee Shepherd Properties LLC, rezone from AG and AR3 to B1 and AR3, 17.82 acres on Experiment Station Road with 6 conditions.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve rezone request P25-0230 with 6 conditions. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. That approval, we do have 3 variances to discuss. It'd be variance P25-0231. This is to reduce required buffer. Variance P25-0232, allow a flat roof grocery store. And then variance request P 25-0290. This is allow a two-story building to have a footprint larger than 6,000 square foot, in its space larger than 10,000 square foot in the B1 zoning district.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Again, this is variance P 25-0231, 0232, and 0290, KBB LLC, applicant owner. Again, this is parcel B 06022F and 022FA, currently zoned, well, now currently zoned B1, but previously zoned AR3 in the Civic Center character area. And again, 0231, special exception variance from the UDC, section 806 and table 8.1 to reduce the required buffer width from 50 feet to 20 feet. 0232, a special exception to 20509C3A and 20604D7A to allow the flat roof with pitched accents instead of the required gable or hip style with a minimum roof pitch of 412 or steeper for a multi-story building, and to modify the required roofing material. And P 25-0290, a special exception variance 20509C3H to allow the building with 23,500 square feet total on 2 floors to exceed the limitation of 12,000 square feet on 2 floors with a 6,000 square foot footprint or 20,000 square feet for a single story building. This is a recorded plat that you have in your application, the concept plan, and again, the architectural images showing the proposed structures. And staff recommends conditional approval with our 3 standard conditions for each of the proposed variances. Thank you.
Frank Pittman.
Okay, I'm gonna try to go through these and I may go in the wrong order. But the first variance request is, for to be able to put a B1 zoning has some different verbiage, and we could have asked for a B2 zoning on this. You know, in our meeting with Mr. Herring, we all decided that B1 was probably a better request, and more in keeping with what you guys want to see along these corridors, and not high intensity zonings. But because we went B1 and not B2, there's if you have a 2-story building, it says that the maximum footprint is 6,000 square feet. If you got a 1-story building, it could be 20,000 square feet. So we are a 2-story because we've got a half-story upstairs for this grocery store. So we're asking for variance to allow basically the building that we've shown, which would be bigger than that 6,000 square foot footprint. Again, we could have done this by right in the B2 zoning, but we wanted to stay B1 for a little bit better, less intensive zoning request. The second request is for to allow for a flat roof. So also in B1 and we're in the very outer limit of the Marshall Overlay District. B1 and Marshall Overlay both require a pitched roof. On a building that's 23,000 square feet, a pitched roof gets very, very tall. So we're asking to allow for a flat roof with some pitched accents to look a little bit more modern and to not be so tall by the time you get that pitch up on a building with a square footage that big. And then the third variance is because we have now rezoned to B1, and the rest of the property behind us, which is part of the same request, is now AR3. There's a 50-foot buffer requirement between B1 and AR3. So same property owners, the same rezone request. We're asking to reduce that buffer from 50 to 20 feet. You know, in the future, when that property most likely becomes commercial, there'd be no buffer required at all. So what we don't want to do is leave a 50-foot buffer now, and down the road, we're not even required to have anything, but we're built. So again, it's the same property owner under the same rezone request. So we're here for any questions. And like I said earlier, Miss Katrina Evans with E&E Architecture, who's designing the building, probably could answer more questions on the building request if y'all have any questions there. Thank y'all.
Anyone else wish to speak for the variances? Does anyone wish to speak against? With that, we'll close public comments. Do we have any questions? All right, we'll take, P 25-0231 first.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve variance P 25-0231, KBB LLC and William Bishop, reduce required buffer width, 4.2 acres, Spearmint Station Road, commercial with the three conditions.
Second.
Motion and second to approve variance P 25-0231 with three conditions. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And we'll move on to 232.
I will continue with the motion to approve variance P 25-0232, KBB LLC and William Bishop, allow a flat roof on a grocery store, 4.82 acres, Spearmint Station Road, commercial with the three conditions.
Have a motion and second to approve variance request P 25-0232 with three conditions. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll go to 290.
I'm on a roll, so I'll keep going. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve variance P 25-0290, KBB LLC and William Bishop, allow a two-story building to have a footprint larger than 6,000 square foot and tenant space larger than 10,000 square foot in the B1 zoning district, 4.2 acres, Spearmint Station Road, commercial with three conditions.
Motion and second to approve P 25-0290 with three conditions. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we'll move on to rezone request P 25-0223. This is Deferred Tax LLC. Request is to modify conditions of existing rezones 8340 and 043. It's 33.65 acres at 1291 Virgil Langford Road.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Again, this is rezone P 25-0223, Oconee County Board Initiated Rezone. This is parcel C 01045 and C 01045B. Currently zoned to B1 and B2 in the regional center character area. Now, this is a board initiated rezone for the plus or minus 33 acre site to modify a B1 general business PUD site plan specific zoning district through rezone 8304. That was impacted by right-of-way acquisition for State Route 316, University Parkway, Mars Hill Road, and the Virgil Langford State Route 316 Bridge, as well as a B2 Highway Business Zoning District rezone 043 that was reduced by the right-of-way acquisition for Oconee County Connector, Mars Hill Road, Daniels Bridge Road realignment. The new modified rezoning concept plan will have an OIP zoning district along Mars Hill Road and a B1 and B2 zoning district along State Route 316. This is a recorded plat you have in your application packets. This is the zoning concept plan submitted by the county for the board initiated rezone, showing the B1 portion as a future phase once access is provided to Virgil Langford, a B2 portion along 316, and then office institutional professional along Mars Hill and the connector at the corner. This also shows the proposed uses in the B2, a supermarket with roughly 56,000 square feet, a B2 allowing an automobile car wash, 5,000 square feet, a B2 drive-in bank for 4,000 square feet. The office institutional professional would allow general office buildings up to 59,000 square feet, and B1, which is the second phase, would be a retail shopping plaza, roughly 45,000 square feet. This concept plan also shows the levels of service C that we previously discussed at each of these intersections. So the green shows that both in the AM and the PM, that with this proposed design, level of service C is met. You'll also see the road improvements proposed right in, right out along Mars Hill, a roundabout at Hollow Creek Lane, and another right in, right out closer to the intersection with Daniels Bridge. And there would be also geometric changes, new dual lefts on the northbound and eastbound approaches, and signal timing improvements as well. And the entrance off of the connector would also be a right in, right out. The previous rezones of 8340 and rezone 043 are described as this. The 19-acre B2 8340 approved in 1988 allowed for 54,000 square feet of grocery, shopping center, office, warehouse, bank, service station, nursery, garden center, repair and supply center. And the original requested 50-acre B1 PUD rezone of 043 approved in 1992 allowed up to 250,000 square feet of office, warehouse, an office, a restaurant, a bank, a fast food, and convenience store. These are the originally approved site plans for those two rezones. This is the developer proposed rezone site plan that was originally submitted with one of the rezone applications. This is developer proposed settlement site plan most recently received, showing the location, movement of the proposed grocery store to the B2 portion, but also keeping B2 at this location. This is the exhibit comparison between the developer settlement agreement and the county initiated rezone concept plan. You notice the difference between the OIP under the developer settlement exhibit of approximately 2.5 acres, B1 3.4 acres, B2 22 acres, versus the acreage under the board initiated zoning concept plan of roughly 12 acres for office institutional, 5 acres for the phase 2, and 10 acres for the B2. Also, our ADTs for these associated square footages for the buildings are developer proposed approximately 14,000 trips a day, with a county initiated, it'll be closer to 11,000 trips a day. These are architectural images that were previously submitted and included in this application as condition. And staff recommends conditional approval with our 3 standard conditions. Number 4, service areas and dumpsters shall be visually screened from public view by a 6-foot masonry wall and facade materials matching the exterior of principal structures with black painted metal steel enclosure doors. Enclosure doors made of wood or chain link are prohibited. Number 5, all service and truck loading areas shall be screened from public view by a 6-foot masonry wall with facade material to match the exterior of the principal building. Number 6, in addition to the required 10-foot wide vehicle use area screening and landscape strip along Mars Hill Road, a 25-foot wide structural buffer shall be provided, including trees as specified in UDC section 80804B1B and evergreen plant material as specified in UDC section 80804B3D. Number 7, an internal sidewalk network shall connect all uses within development to sidewalks along Oconee Connector and Mars Hill Road. Pedestrian connectivity shall be provided throughout the development, including raised decorative crosswalks. Final design of the sidewalk network shall be subject to the approval of the planning director and shall be shown on the preliminary plat and site development plans for each phase of the development. Number 8, pedestrian facilities shall be provided connecting the development to Hollow Creek Lane. Number 9, along the full length of the private drives in both phases of the development, no sidewalk shall be located within the 10-foot wide landscape strip vehicle use area screening. Number 10, all stormwater management ponds shall be enclosed by a black vinyl chain link fence and screened on all sides by a 20-foot wide structural buffer, including trees as specified in UDC section 80804B1B and evergreen plant material as specified in UDC section 80804B3D. Said buffer shall be provided in lieu of the required evergreen screening of UDC section 11603B5. Number 11, all proposed access design and traffic improvements shall be in accordance with the county initiated concept plan and traffic impact analysis dated September 2025, WSP Engineering. 12, for the entirety of the project's frontage along Mars Hill Road shall be upgraded to county street design standards for arterial roads as outlined in UDC Article 10. Road improvements shall be shown on the preliminary plat and site development plans for each phase of development. Number 13, interparcel access to adjacent properties shall be required in order to facilitate future access from the development to Virgil Langford Road. Said interparcel access shall comply with UDC section 60802 and shall be shown in the site development plans for phase 2. Phase 2 shall not receive a site development plan approval without access to Virgil Langford Road. Number 14, a new traffic study for the phase 2 B1 zoned area shall be submitted for review and approval to the Director of Planning and Code Enforcement and Director of Public Works prior to submittal of the site development plan for phase 2. Number 15, the total building square footage of the development shall not exceed 169,825 square feet. 16, the development shall meet all standards of the Mars Hill overlay as outlined in UDC section 20604. Number 17, the architectural standards of all buildings shall meet or exceed the standards indicated in the elevations submitted by BDG Architects with P22, rezone P22-0155, dated 7/5/2022. To include at least 80% of exterior wall surfaces to be either brick veneer, stone veneer, or glass. additional primary and accident materials are allowed as indicated in UDC section 30603. Thank you.
Jennifer Walker speaking for.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Jennifer Walker. I live at 1201 Deandra Drive, which is in Bond Crossing, the neighborhood adjacent to Hollow Creek Lane. I want to give you my sincere appreciation and gratitude for review of this property and trying to make it more aligned with the heavily residential area right across the street. So this is my appreciation personally for what the commissioners have done in review of this property that earlier had been unacceptable, in my opinion, proposed a couple of years back with the extensive development. I also want to appreciate the consideration of traffic flow with no light and added to the Oconee connector and the roundabout that's put on Mars Hill, although there's always that concern of traffic that would be increased in that area. The only question I would have for the commissioners, if they choose to answer, is timing. If this project was approved and would be accepted, when this would be occurring in light of the Georgia Department of Transportation's construction projects with overflow on 316. So thank you very much.
Anyone else wish to speak for the rezone? We'll move to those speaking against. Larry Walton.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name's Larry Walton. I live at 3681 Mars Hill Road. I've lived in that section of Mars Hill between the Oconee connector and US 78 for 53 years now. I'm not really sure that I'm against the project, but I'm not sure that I'm for it either. My concerns are along those of yours, Commissioner Horton, which is safety and integrity of the agricultural residential nature of the Mars Hill community and the greater Mars Hill community. Just to remind you, I was here last year about the rezone at the corner of Julian Drive and Mars Hill Road, and appreciate your vote to preserve the integrity of the agricultural residential nature of that part of the community between Virgil Langford and Malcolm Bridge. My concerns are that there are right now, according to my most recent count, 612 families that live either directly on Mars Hill Road, 47 houses that access and leave their homes directly from Mars Hill. There are another 565 homes that are accessed and off of Mars Hill Road in the subdivisions between the Oconee connector and Malcolm Bridge. That actually amounts to somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,720 individuals if you take the current 2.81 household members per family and multiply it times that amount of homes. That gives you about 1,720 individuals that are going to be impacted every day, all day, by the increased traffic that's going to be present on Mars Hill Road. Mars Hill Road is used by emergency vehicles. It's used by school buses. And by emergency vehicles, I mean fire, ambulances, law enforcement, the school buses, and the 1,720 families or 1,720 individuals that comprise those families off of Mars Hill Road. I'm aware now that the traffic builds up from the Oconee connector to beyond Virgil Langford almost every morning. I can only imagine what it's going to be once you have such a large complex there. Traffic does drop off presently at about 6 p.m. and then it reverts to a pretty calm, not heavily trafficked road. these businesses that are going to be included in this project are going to be open well past 6 p.m. So not only are we going to have increased traffic flow on Mars Hill Road, but we're going to have an increased duration of traffic flow on Mars Hill Road. So those are things that I'd like to ask you to consider, think about in making your decision about approving anything that affects the safety, the traffic flow, the congestion, and the access of individuals that are basically your constituents, the 1,720 individuals that live in that larger Mars Hill community. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff Deloach.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jeff Deloach. I live at 1571 Crystal Hills Drive, and then my office is at 1220 Langford Drive, Building 200, which is almost right across 316 from this property. I've practiced law now in Oconee County about 20 years, and all 20 years, every day I drive right by this parcel. So I've been looking at this parcel for a long time. So I'm very familiar with it. I am here representing Deferred Tax, the owner of the parcel, to oppose the rezoning of its 6.84 acre parcel on the corner, and then also to oppose the conditions that are being placed on the rezoning of the additional track. Again, my client through counsel submitted letters to this board dated November 25th, 2025 that sort of stated the constitutional objections. I'm not here. Those of you who know me and I've been before you before, I'm not here to kind of go through that with you. I know you don't need that. But I do want to offer a few key points that I believe are related to your consideration of this rezoning. I know you've been looking at this property a long time in the potential development of this property. So I appreciate that and offer all of these comments with respect. I became involved in this matter on behalf of the property owner, frankly, to try to pursue a resolution with the county, and started with a productive meeting. We came back with Mr. Bell's assistance. The property owner came back with a revised plan as a settlement proposal, which we hoped would result in more discussion. The county received that proposal and asked us to do another traffic study, which my client did at significant expense, submitted that traffic study. Unfortunately, after that, there was no further discussion. We instead got a message that the county would pursue a board-initiated rezoning. As traffic seemed to be a primary concern, we offered to have the property owner's traffic engineer meet with the county consultants, but there was no response to that offer. And so as a result, unfortunately, rather than resolving the pending litigation, this rezoning action will only prolong the litigation, which is disappointing to me because I got hired to try to help get it resolved. And so was certainly not my goal when I got started, and I don't feel like it's in the best interest of anyone involved. The proposed action does involve 2 tracts of land. The 6.84 acre tract of land on the corner of Oconee Connector and Mars Hill has been zoned B2 since 1988. All 4 corners of that intersection are zoned B2. To downzone my client's property to OIP is a significant change, and that corner will stand in stark contrast to the other 4 corners, which is contrary to the standards set out in Georgia law, particularly under Gould v. Holcomb Bridge, as to what is constitutional zoning. So that is a substantial part of our constitutional objection to this action. But there's a significant detriment imposed on the property owner by this downzoning that it's a downzoning to OIP, which is currently the market has an excess of OIP. And we believe this corner being downzoned cannot be justified by any public benefit. Such a rezoning not only violates our client's investment-backed expectations in purchasing the property, but as I've said, does violate the standards that the Georgia Supreme Court has set out. Those standards most well known in a 1977 case of Gould v. Holcomb Bridge Road. Interestingly, that case addresses traffic even. And I'm not going to try to give you all a lesson on the case law, so don't get nervous about that. I'm not here to do that. But one important thing that's been consistent in Georgia law is when making a zoning decision, you can't base it solely on traffic, and particularly when the traffic's already there. Not picking on Commissioner Horton, but I think he made a great point earlier about the traffic that's already there at UNG. The traffic's already there. People are going to go to that development. It's no different here. The traffic is already there. The reason a Publix would want to be there, the reason these other developments would want to be there is because the traffic's already there. Your own traffic study shows that the traffic is already there. The property owner genuinely wanted to try to work to make sure the increase to the traffic or the management of the traffic was in the most efficient manner as possible. So just to conclude on the corner parcel, we urge you not to downzone that parcel that has been B2 since 1988 and make it different than every other corner of that intersection when there's no substantial public benefit to that. Now, as to the other parcel, we agree it needs to be rezoned. We can all agree on that. So it's nice to start there, right? Our problem is with the conditions that are being placed on that rezone. And just quite frankly, I'm sure some people in this audience would be very happy to hear this, but as this is proposed, it can't be developed. It is financially not feasible to develop it. There is the stream mitigation is just too expensive to develop it in the way it's being proposed. And so with that, it leaves it in a circumstance that it remains an unconstitutional zoning. And we believe that the facts would bear that out. So that was the hope, was to present that proposal and then have discussion about traffic, have discussion about how we can mitigate the things that the public and that you all are properly concerned about. And unfortunately, that's not where we continued moving. And instead we're here, I believe, where you're about to take an action that will cause an unconstitutional zoning and more litigation. Again, an important point, and I'm not trying to belabor it, but traffic that's already there is not the responsibility of the property owner that is trying to develop a piece of property. And Georgia law is very clear on that. So making a decision based on traffic that's already there, when the increase to traffic is minimal and there is a plan to try to manage it in an appropriate manner, we believe that is certainly the way we should go rather than the conditions that are there now. Additionally, I would say there's conditions, for example, for the Phase 2 property. We can't guarantee we'll ever have access to Virgil Langford. We don't control all the property there. We'd like to have access there at some point, but to put a condition like that on this property, to say that could never be developed without that, again, we believe that kind of condition is unconstitutional. So I stand here with all due respect. Many of you I know personally and certainly know you work very hard to do your jobs well. And so I am not here to criticize the job you're trying to do for this county. In this particular instance, I disagree that this is the appropriate action for the best interest of the county, as well as this property owner. There is a way to get this resolved and to have what is a development in a great location that could be a wonderful asset for this community, but unfortunately, this is not going to get us there. So again, we respectfully request that you deny this rezoning for all of these reasons. Please don't downzone the corner parcel, and please give us a chance to work out something mutually agreeable rather than something that is going to lead to more litigation. So thank you for your patience with me to share that. I'll be glad to answer any questions if I can.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak against? With that, we'll go ahead and close public comments. Do we have any questions from commissioners? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve rezone request E25-0223 Deferred Tax LLC request to modify the conditions of existing rezones number 8340 and number 043, 33.65 acres, 1291 Virgil Langford Road, 17 conditions.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve rezone request P 25-0223 with 17 conditions. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now move on to our discussion and consideration for the jail walk-in cooler freezer replacement. Melissa?
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. The jail walk-in cooler and freezer is the original equipment that was placed in the jail at the time of construction. So it's met its useful life at 20 years old, and it is currently in need of replacement. It's had repairs over the years, and because of the age, the repairs needed and those parts are becoming scarce. So we're recommending replacement of the jail's cooler and freezer. 3 quotes were obtained per our fiscal ordinance, and the lowest quote obtained was at $76,096. This includes pulling out the existing equipment, the installation of the new equipment, and the cost of equipment. Along with this, we would request temporary storage to safely store the food. So we've quoted out a 1-month rental period of $2,560. As well as removing and reinstalling the existing sprinkler heads that are there at approximately $1,000. The total cost of the request this evening is $79,656. We do have a signed fund balance in our capital projects fund. We've been anticipating this approaching. The request this evening is to allow for a budget amendment to place those funds into the budget for the life of the project. Again, the amount is $79,656, and that will allow us to replace the cooler and freezer. I am happy to answer any questions. We also have Captain Toe here this evening, who's available to answer any questions that you may have as well.
Any questions for Melissa or Captain Two? Very good. Do we have any public comment on this item? All right, we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the purchase of the new jail walk-in cooler freezer.
Second.
The amount of money that.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is discuss and consider the project framework agreement for State Route 53 at Ray's Church Road, Malcolm Bridge Road Roundabout Project.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. With your indulgence, I'd like to discuss item 2 and 3 as they are coupled together. And actually, I'll start with item 3. As you know, we have roundabout projects that are either under construction or design at Snow's Mill in 53 and then Ray's Church in 53. These are joint projects in cooperation with GDOT. Under the framework agreement, they are using federal funding. The county is responsible for design requirements following the federal process and acquisition of right-of-way, and GDOT will furnish the expenditures for the construction project. Snow's Mill is currently under construction, almost complete, and the Ray's Church one is under design currently with the anticipated let over the summer. There's been significant design overruns on both of the projects. The Snow's Mill Road, $133,580. The majority of it dealing with comments from the GDOT to our designer. There was 19,220 of that is additional changes to the right-of-way that were part of the right-of-way negotiation. The bulk of the contract modification occurs at the Ray's Church, which is $411,077. This had to do with a significant expansion of scope under the design review, which would have ultimately impacted 15 total parcels in the acquisition, causing a significant redesign. Ultimately, the county objected to the project, had it redesigned so that it is 6 parcels impacted as opposed to the 15. So in aggregate, the total design changes would be $544,657 on design costs. A significant amount of conversation occurred with the designer as well as GDOT. And that brings us to item 2. GDOT has agreed because of the different design requirements to contribute $500,000 to design, which would be a reimbursement to the county for these expenses. So the items before you at number 2 is to agree to the project framework agreement with GDOT, which would allow the reimbursement of the $500,000 to the county, and then item 3, which would be the ultimate contract modifications within the two projects. Happy to answer any further questions.
What's the contract modification amount?
The aggr-
500?
The aggregate contract modification would be $544,657.
Now, originally, when this first started, the engineering firm gave us a price that was less than 500,000.
That is correct.
So in our discussions, I don't have a good feeling about giving them more than what the original quote was to get the job done. So I would recommend to the board that we accept the 500,000 from GDOT and only allow that amount to go to the design consultant to finish out the project. It's about 480. You remember the number?
There'd be a delta based on the $44,000 between those.
Yeah, but the original quote was like,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Yes, it was.
Sometimes
it
there's
was about
negotiation.
480,000.
488 to 544,000 to complete the project. And GDOT's willing, they have really stepped up once they realized what was going on to cause some of the problems. So I really appreciate Commissioner McMurray stepping up and providing this $500,000 to get us through the project. But I think that's the most we should move forward with. Any questions from any commissioners on that?
So what's the option if we don't approve this? Will the contractor or the design, whoever was going to get this money, they'll just have to eat it?
If there turns out to be a $44,000 difference, yeah, they would have to.
Okay. Well, that,
and we may get, there's not 100% that it's going to take 500 to finish it. Right? If their number's correct, it's going to be fine anyway. Yeah, 480 that was initiated.
is most of the conversation about the Snows Mill project or is the Raised Church project? Which
Raised Church was the primary conversation. There were two separate review teams on the GDOT side. One required a significant expansion of the lane impacts on all directions of the approaches, which went from a 6 parcel acquisition scenario to a 15 parcel acquisition scenario.
Now, will this affect this contract discussion? Will that affect the let date on the contract?
I'd love to give you certainty on this project. We are going to push for the summer let date for have it not move. And if the board approves per the chairman's recommendation, we will express as such to our designer and hopefully move forward in that direction.
Right now, we're still on schedule for the summer.
That is correct. We're still on schedule. Right of way has all been acquired for the Raised Church. We're working through the finalization to demolish the structure, and we're on track for the let currently.
Have all the parcels that have closed that were affected by this project, all the parcels?
Yes, they've all closed.
Okay. So were we able to save the historic Eastville City Hall?
Eastville City Hall will be untouched.
Okay. So it will remain.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Under your recommendation, how does that affect 2 and 3? How will we?
I think we'll approve the project framework agreement as submitted, which is for 500,000. That's where Department of Transportation's agreed to give us 500,000 toward design, right? And then our contract modification would be for the same amount, 500,000.
Not to dive into the weeds too much, but isn't the expansion initially due to the speed limit that was coming into the roundabout on the county road?
That's correct. It was, we requested that they look, that is one of the increases that we initiated because we asked them to look at lowering the speed limits that would therefore accommodate a reduction of the amount of impact that the intersection had.
We did ask them to do that in response to the original comments from GDOT that said we had to expand the
That is-
filters, which increases to 15. And I guess my bigger problem is they originally said we can finish it for 485 8 months ago, and now we're at 544.
I know design is an opinion, but it looks like that their initial opinion wasn't in the best interest of the county because they were expanding the right of way by what, double or sixfold or twofold.
Some of that was directly from comments from GDOT. And again, they've been responsive. When we went to GDOT with our thing, we're going from 6 to 15, they immediately reversed. The designer had already done some work though, and they had to go back and redo it type thing is what. So there was some additional costs. I don't doubt that. Any other questions? Do we have any public comment on these two items? We'll entertain a motion on the project framework agreement, which is our accepting the money from Department of Transportation for $500,000 for design.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we accept or approve the project framework agreement for SR 53 at Race Church Road, Malcolm Bridge Road, roundabout project with the discussed 500,000 from GDOT.
A motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now here's the decision point. We have the contract modification for the designer of either $544,659 or $500,000. Is that right? 659?
One question on that is, somebody reviewed the billing statement on that, or is that just a blanket proposal that they submitted?
No, they submit the hours applicable to those for the billing.
That's just a not to exceed 500,000.
I'm fine to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to consider a contract modification not to exceed 500,000 for the design of State Route 53 at Ray's Church, Malcolm Bridge roundabout project, 53 at Snow's Mill.
Second. Yeah, motion second to approve the $500,000 contract modification. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next item is discuss and consider the guaranteed maximum price for the courthouse upgrade. As you recall, we're doing a courthouse renewal and replacement project. Part of this project deals with security upgrades, build out of some offices in the new section. We're getting 2 additional courtrooms, expansion of the clerk's office, as well as a move and expansion of the probate judge's office. Also, you may want to get some pictures in the courthouse over the next week because all that mauve color is going to be leaving. So if you're if you like the 1990s decor, you may want to get a copy. So we're going to do some freshening up there. As you remember, we contract with PPI to do as our design firm, and then Kevin Price Construction was awarded the construction manager at risk. Plans are now completed, value engineering complete. Now we're on to our pricing component. So the guaranteed maximum price at this point will be $4,715,000. We have the money set aside in our capital fund. Once the project starts, this will be about roughly a 10-month project. There is $200,000 in contingency included in the 4.7 million. At the appropriate time, we'll just be asking for a motion to accept the guaranteed maximum price of $4,715,000. This will be paid from the capital fund with all necessary budget amendments for the life of the project. I'll be happy to answer any questions on that one. Do we have any public comment? We'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we accept the guaranteed maximum price for courthouse upgrade of $4,715,000 as submitted.
A motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, now that you got your audit report on your desk, we now move on to budget planning for FY 27. Melissa?
Thank you, Chairman. The FY 27 budget submittal plan is included in your packet this evening. I present this to you every year so that you have a schedule for our next fiscal year's budget adoption. This schedule includes budget requests being submitted and completed by February the 13th. From there, we have time to review the requests, make recommendations back to the departments, meet with the departments, allow you as commissioners to review the requests and recommendations, and allow for time to consolidate a balanced budget for your presentation. We've scheduled our first public hearing for May 5th, 2026, and our second public hearing for May 19th, 2026, and planned budget adoption for June the 2nd, 2026. And I'm happy to answer any questions about that schedule. The request this evening is just for your consideration and adoption of the plan.
Any questions for Melissa? We'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to adopt the budget submittal plan as presented.
Second.
We have a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next time is discuss and consider a memorandum of agreement with the Georgia Department of Community Affairs for the Plan First designation. Daniel?
So you remember that the county was awarded the Plan First designation. And Guy could probably speak to that more thoroughly about all the advantages. But this is simply the agreement where DCA pledges to provide different things to us, access to some tools and assistance. They'll recognize us as a county that is a Plan First county. Bonus points on our housing tax credit applications, on approved revitalization plans. I don't know that we'd ever use that. Interest rate reductions of 1% for employee incentive programs. Interest rate reduction on DCA redevelopment funds and on downtown development revolving loan fund program. So there's some things that we may or may not ever use, but they're there if we need them. And Guy, I'm sure, has these at the top of his list of things to watch out for. And then we agree to do some things that are all pretty aspirational, to continue to strive for planning excellence, to participate by supporting a staff member's participation plan for fewer, for one of our staff members to present at a community planning institute event, to submit one plan implementation success story. So this is not a financial burden in any way. It's a good thing for the county, and probably thought we had done everything we had to do when they made the award, but there is actually.
Any questions on this item? Any public comment? We'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the Georgia Department of Community Affairs for the Plan First designation.
Second.
We have a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll move on now to discuss and consider a settlement agreement with Publix in the Oconee opioid litigation.
This one's a little different than most of the opioid settlements. Because Publix was such a small player in all this, they actually settled with all of their individual communities. There's a confidential settlement agreement, but open meetings and open records requires that we put out the important features of the settlement, which are that Oconee County gets $9,662.34. Attorney's fees that Blasingham Birch and I split, they get 3/4, I get 1/4 of $1,832. There's a common fund distribution of $742.65. It's a release of all opioid-related claims. There's no admission of fault. Drew Hill at Blasingham Birch recommends approval. I recommend approval. Publix was not heavily involved in all.
Any questions for Daniel? Do we have any public comment on this item? All right, we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the settlement agreement with Publix in the Oconee opioid litigation.
Second.
We have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is discuss and consider the SPLOST 27 IGA. So as you know, we're working toward asking our citizens for a renewal of SPLOST. Georgia law allows us to collect SPLOST for 6 years versus 5 years by entering into an intergovernmental agreement with our cities. I met with all our mayors on December 15th of 2025. I do anticipate all cities in the county to adopt the IGA prior to our meeting on January 27th. January 27th, we'll be considering a resolution to send to the Board of Elections to do the call. Just as a reminder, on the SPLOST 27, we're expecting between 75 million and 90 million collection, and that'll run from 10/1/27 to 9/30/2033. Watkinsville receives 7.77%, which would be between 5.8 to 7 million. Bogart 3.17%, which would be 2.3 to 2.8 million. North High Shoals 1.32%, which would be 990,000 up to 1.1. And Bishop, it receives 0.79%, which would be 592,000 up to 714,000. That would leave between 65 and 78 million for the county. We would use 3.75 million to retire debt, and that would totally pay off Oconee Veterans Park as well as this building here. So all our debt would be relieved during this SPLOST. Water resources received between 5 and 6.2 million, and that's for renewal and replacement projects, replacing water pipes, sewer pipes, and farmland protection between 6 and 750,000. Oconee Fire Rescue 6.4 to 9 million, and that would include medical in that as well. Historic properties would get 650 to 850,000. Radio system upgrades, 5.8 to 6 million would be required to do the upgrades that are required for the radio system. General facilities, 5.2 to 6.5. The huge portion of the major portion, about 39% of the SPLOST will go to Parks and Rec, which would run between 24 million and 30.8 million. And we got several projects, including Dawson Park, that money could be spent for. And then also our sheriff's office vehicles. We're trying to replace 9 vehicles a year. So we've got 4.1 to 5.1 million in that bucket. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions about the IGA. You want to add anything, Daniel?
Just if you notice in your package, the one thing we don't have yet is breakdown of what all the cities are going to divvy their money up for, but that'll be inserted as they get it.
Any questions? Okay. Do we have any public comment? We'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the SPLOST 2027 IGA.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We have no need of executive session, so Commissioner Saxon.
Motion adjourned.
Second. We are adjourned. Thank you.